What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of For the Love of the Game. I am not your host, but I'm going to be today, Tommy Stiles. Got Turner Riddle here, and today our guest is none other than IFBB Pro Mutant sponsored athlete, Dusty Hanshaw. What's up, Dusty?
Not much, man. Glad you guys had me on. I saw you you brought the other half of the duo on last week with Ron, so that was cool.
Yeah, and actually there may or may not be another episode with Scott McNally that already dropped by the time this one comes out. So we did the whole trio all in 1 week.
Nice.
So today, Dusty's been on this before, not this particular segment. So a little different today. We got some questions for you. Kind of getting into For the Love of the Game. You know, a lot of the three of our group chat is just about passion and dudes that are winning and killing it and getting after their dreams. So I thought it'd be cool to bring that to the audience. So I'm going to kick it over to Turner. He's kind of hosting this one. I'm just introducing everybody. Let him start it off and we'll roll from there.
I've got some questions. I don't want to jump straight into those just yet. I'd like to just get warmed up. But Dusty, since stepping away from the stage, how has your mindset and your physical and your mindset changed towards training? Because I know your training's changed a little, maybe not a whole lot, but like, what are things now that you look for versus the way you would approach training when you were competing, now that you're not competing?
Well, it's kind of a multifaceted answer, because part of it is because I'm no longer competing. So that's one of those areas where I train more intensely than anyone else in the gym, but I don't train as intensely as I used to. You know what I mean? So there's an alteration there. And then the other factor is between age, injuries, and then of course my little nap. I got my strength back pretty quickly, to the point where I realized, like, all right, I am 42 now, and I can still do everything I used to do. So instead of doing that, though, I take a step back and say, okay, rather than putting, 16 plates aside on a leg press and burying it and seeing if these old hip flexors still want to do like they used to, maybe I'll do 10 or 12 aside and either do real slow negatives, or like last week, I put up a video doing like a long 2-count pause, and a lot of stuff gets a little more changed on the fly. So like last week I did my top set with a 2-count pause at the stretch, came back up, and then I decided, all right, I'll drop 2 plates aside for my drop back. Well, 3 reps in, I'm like, this is too light. Like, I knew immediately. So just on the fly, I was like, all right, well, now my pause in the stretch is a 5-count. Finding ways to make things very, very difficult, but hopefully a little less prone to injury, because the risk to reward is different. Back then, I mean, it's very simple. You guys get it. Tommy's in the meat of it now. Like, you're going to take a lot more risks and put a half an inch on your arm. You know what I mean? It is what it is. Nowadays, I don't have to. That being said, Nikki is competing again next year. And because of that, that means her training has kicked back up, which by default now means my training has kicked back up. And now I'm back to being sore as shit and walking around wondering why I made such bad decisions.
But with that said, you've done this long enough to notice progress, even if it's this much versus, a whole inch on your arms. Doing those things, you're still getting sore. And I'm sure you're probably not running the same amount. I don't know. You've always seemed like you ran much less gear than everyone else. And that may just be in your off period versus your on period. But you still notice that you're still making progress, right?
Oh, yeah. No, that's the thing that's interesting is, Dante and I used to argue all the time that I used to tell him I'm going to shrink down to 240 in no time after I'm done. That was my plan. Like, I want to be comfortable. I want to be light. I want to buy clothes off the rack. And he used to tell me, he's like, you have no idea what it will take to get down to that. And, long story short, it's been very true. Like, I did a little mini diet for a little family vacation, was down to 274, was gone for 5 days, came home at 290. And, it's your body is just used to being heavy. Now, obviously, I have been bigger than this before, but a combination of learning how to train better and also just muscle memory. Like, I pretty much have just succumbed to the idea that I will be a pretty large version of myself during her process. But again, I mean, there'll be no growth hormone or any, like I'm not pushing it on purpose. That's just going to be food and training that takes care of that. Like you said, with the gear side, I mean, I'm lower than I was when I was in the game, and that wasn't insanely high. Now that I'm done, I'm a little more open to be blunt with people on what that means, because when somebody says like, "Oh, my doses were low," the assumption is like, "Oh, he's taking 400 milligrams a test," and it's like, well, I didn't say I was like on nothing. Like the end of a prep for me was always very, I mean, in my opinion, was very high. I went as high as a gram of test before, didn't really notice a ton. So our sweet spot was like 750. I didn't see a big difference going up 25% in test as far as what I would see from results standpoint. So we just pulled that back out. But, it wasn't rare to be on 300 tren and 300 Masteron with that. I mean, Tommy's kind of seen what I've done over the years. So, by the time you coupled everything in, you might be 1800, which is not nothing. It's just, short time periods, 4 weeks, 6 weeks like that. And your off season is more, low dose and let the food, training, and sleep do its job.
That's the low dose. I feel like when I talk to some of these younger people and I say, all right, we're going to bring you down, we're going to clean you out, we're going to do all these things now, dude, they're like, you mean you're going to take me off everything? And I know there's some coaches out there that'll take you off everything. I want you to do X amount of time, nothing, donate your blood, get your labs done and all those things. And then I know some guys that we've all been in the mix of that. Like we've ran a lot longer than we thought we would, but and I think that's just because everyone's talking about gear nowadays. So if it's always talked about, they're going to think that they always need to be on some, whether it's a whole lot or just a little. But when you're down to 100, because your TRT is what, like I think you've said it a couple times, 150.
150 is my normal, yeah.
And when you go into the gym, do you still, like when you go to pick up a weight, does it still feel the same versus 750?
Oh yeah, that's the thing is I think, okay, so this is where I think everyone gets off, is we decide that weight will be heavy because we're on a lower dose. We decide we're going to be weaker because we're on low calories. We decide, you know what I mean? I get the sniffles. Oh, I'm sick. Like, dude, stop telling yourself you're sick.
Absolutely.
These are decisions that you make that will decide what takes place. So, you're a realist. Like I'm very clear in understanding that, if I'm doing, for example, in my peak a few years ago when Jordan and I were just going back and forth with dead stop barbell rows, I was doing 405 for like 19. Well now that's a hard 12.
Right.
But it's still 405. I can still row 495, and it's just the decisions you make to decide. I think people drastically underestimate how strong your brain is.
Oh yeah.
If there's 600 pounds on the ground and you decide before you walk up that it's too heavy, don't even touch it.
That's right.
Don't touch that. Like it's a decision. You know what I mean? Same thing when you walk into the gym, you decide when you get there how it's going to be. I don't even get out of my truck until I'm ready to work.
I think the same thing goes with when you're training and you're training. I'll say training scared, but you're training thinking I could get injured right here. You feel the pains and the little pops and the twinges a lot more than just getting under the weight and seeing what happens. Now, I'm not saying do things dumb, but it's like you said, when you're in the thick of things, just trying to put a half inch on your arm, you're not. A lot of us, I'll say, have just got under 600 pounds. Like, I don't need a fucking spot. I'm just going to squat this till my eyes pop out of my head, right? And then you get older and down the road, and like you said, and you said it good, where you can take 315 or 365, do a 2 count pause in the bottom, not come all the way to the top, and do those over and over, and that will feel. It may not feel like 600 pounds, but you can still get the same thing out of it. And I see so many people. I mean, I've been a product of it too, where I put some weight on I know it's heavy when I was in the thick of things, I'd put 5 plates on the bar and not even thinking. Like, I'm telling myself, this ain't fucking heavy. I've done this. I'm gonna do it again, and there's not gonna be shit that's gonna stop me. Nowadays, if I put 5 plates on the bar, I'm like telling myself, like, this is fucking heavy. You know what I mean? And there's a huge difference in how heavy it is when I pick it up and the bones cracking and shit like that versus 5 years ago when there was nothing I was not willing to do to put a half on my legs. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just rambling at this point, but I think that it's like you said, the brain is so fucking strong. You can tell yourself you're going to do things, and it may take some time to build up to that, but then at the same time, when you second guess yourself and you tell yourself that you're not going to be able to do things, you're not going to. You know what I mean? I pull some food out of people's diet, and they're like, man, dude, my strength's way down. And then you hear people, my strength's up every single week, and it's just like, I know you can put 5 pounds on the bar every single week, I've never been big into logging my weights because I've seen too many people get hung up on that. I know that's something that you two guys have preached, and it's something that's worked really, really well for you guys. But I've seen too many of the trends where they didn't beat last week, and that carries over into tomorrow's workout. Well, you do that 2 to 3 weeks at a time, and they just feel like they're in a lull, and then you're having to constantly keep them motivated. What do you do in a situation like that?
Well, the problem isn't what I run into that's actually more of a problem than they're getting weaker is they're getting sloppy.
They're not getting weaker. Let's not say that.
No, but I'm saying more than they're missing, not getting stronger, is they're lying to themselves and think they're getting stronger. So for example, let's say we're doing a shoulder press and I've got you listed as a 4-count negative. Well, all of a sudden you're doing a 3-count and you're saying you got 3 more reps. It's like, no, you didn't get stronger. You got sloppier. Or if your rep range drops down, or if your time between sets. I mean, Tommy will tell you, and Ron teases me all the time, but like when I'm doing a rest pause set, I literally have a routine I do even with my wrist wraps, because it makes sure the time between ending one and starting the next is the same. Right. The speed of the negative is the same. Everything has to be the same. And the other factor is, if you're doing progressive overload correctly, you're not touching the same movement from last week. You're touching a movement from 3 chest days ago. Right. So there is time for that improvement. That's where people mess up. It's like, yeah, if you go into bench today, which we all know I don't do at all, but I just like to use that as a list. Right. And you're shooting for 10 reps or whatever, and you come back next week and you want to go up in weight, you might, but probably not on the 3rd, definitely not on the 4th. It's too close. But when we're talking about, okay, we're running 3 different chest workouts and you get your max number today, but you're not training this movement in this rep range for 4 chest days, right, you should be able to progress, but again, the thing I wanted to point out was it's only progression if it's done in the same form. Whether, like I said, the speed of the reps is the same, the range of motion is the same, everything has to be as close to the same as possible, or you're just lying. And that's where people slip up. And we all do. I did too. You look back at a video and you're like, oof, well, if I knocked an inch off of each squat, of course I added a rep. I almost added it 1 inch at a time. You know what I'm saying? So those are the factors. I think what really comes into play that I've been promoting a ton more is understand there's more ways to progress than just reps or weight. Absolutely. There's making sure the rep ranges are correct, making sure the form is locked on, making sure your negatives are correct. You can really get into, as most people know, I try to really simplify things, but you do need to kind of look at things as well. Because, for example, I'll have guys go, well, I go really slow on the negative, and that's great as long as you're feeling the target muscle during that negative. If you're just making it go slow, that doesn't mean shit. If your hips are doing it and your calves are doing it, everything except for the muscle you're trying to use, going slow doesn't mean anything. You see what I'm saying? So when I tell people is dumb it down as far as you can, where do you feel that? Are you feeling the muscle you're there to train while you're slowing it down? If the answer is yes, then yes, I like this alteration you did. But if you're like, no, I'm just 4 seconds where my body's holding it, but not my quads, I'm like, well, then that's shit. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean?
So when you take on a new client that knows nothing other than he follows Dusty on social media, and you're training, I'm sure you have this, paragraphed out as to what a 4 count looks like.
Mhm.
I've gone as far as like telling some people for Mississippi, right? Because your 4 seconds and their 4 seconds is probably totally different. You know what I mean? When you're
for
counting
sure.
1, 2, and they're like 1, 2, 3, 4, right?
Yeah, no, that's exactly what it is, because a 4 count is not a 4 second. So I specify that 4 count is literally 4, 3, 2, 1, how you would say it, not rushed. Now, if I say 4 second, that's a long time. I don't think people realize how long a second is until a bar is moving,
Oh,
so, for the most part, that's where you want to make sure people understand that is, it's consistent. And Tommy will tell you, like back in the day, when you're doing your reps, you really depend on your partner. I mean, he used to count my reps for me.
absolutely.
So my job was to go with his count, and he would never speed up. No, if I was going too fast, he'd go, slow down, because his count stays. You know what I mean? And my job is to make sure when I'm at the top of the rep, we're at the 4. When I'm at the bottom, he's saying the next rep and it's time to push back up. You know what I mean? And there is, when you have a new client, you're teaching them that. But then the biggest thing is I need videos, because this is the whole that you guys preach all the time. People have no idea what their body is capable of. It is extremely rare for a client to send me a video out the gate and me go, damn, it's a good set. It's usually like, you had 4 left, you had 3 left. And it takes time to kind of get that to click in. And sometimes it's very frustrating. Like, I feel for the client, because in their mind, they really are giving it their all. They just don't know what they're capable of. And intensity is something that grows over time. When I look back, I mean, since the day someone put me in my place on what training hard was, I was in my brain very hardcore. But what I was doing 5 years deep, embarrassed what I did in the beginning. What I was doing 10 years deep was another planet. You know what I mean? So it is something that progressively increases, just like anything else in bodybuilding, because you find out what you can do. I mean, you reach a different point. I'm sure you guys can both recall times in your career where you had to really amp yourself up for a set, and like in the gym, and you're pacing around. I can literally tell you a joke, tighten my belt, and then go pick up 800 pounds.
Right.
Because it's just a light switch now. But earlier in my career, no, I need like a time to bring that world in and get myself set and think about what I'm doing. And with experience, it literally is just like, oh, time to do what we do. Let's go.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say about myself is, if I go back to 23, 24, 25, it was just, I'm not going to say I was branch worn by any means, but it looked a lot like that. You know what I mean? Just exactly what you said. Pace around, rage out, motherfuck, get my song right. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't ever slap myself or anything like that. But now it's like, I don't use near as much weight most of the time, because I'm feeling that muscle out, stretching that muscle out. And I was telling this to a client today, new client. He's college football athlete. So he's thinking, don't really control the negative, explode up, right? We train hamstring. So we're doing stiff leg deadlifts, and it's just like, I mean, it looks good because it's just down, up, down, up, down, up. But I was like, all right, now, dude, this is what I want you to do. And Tommy and I've talked about this. You push your butt out, your weight's on your heels. I want this to be slow and agonizing. And I told him, look, when I picked this first setup, which is just a feel set, and we used 35 so we could get more of a stretch. I said, did you notice how my first 5 reps of my first set, it looked like it was hurting me? That's because I'm squeezing with every single thing that I can, right? I'm trying to contract that muscle. He's like, coach, you got 115 or 125 on here, and it looks hard. He didn't say that, but I'm watching him as I put the weight down, and I put the weight down the same way I picked the weight up. You know what I mean? There's no like, and I was just trying to convey to him that, like, yes, they taught y'all be explosive, be powerful, but now I'm teaching you to be a bodybuilder. It's kind of like Kai said, we're bodybuilding, we're not weightlifting.
Mm-hmm.
And so the progression has definitely changed for me. And like you said, like I can get under 300 pounds after laughing at a joke, texting, whatever I need to do, and then go to absolute failure. And my failure still looks like failure. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, that's the missing link there, you know, and it's something we talked about just barely. It's a lot of change in how people warm up for workouts now. They're doing a lot of stuff in the corner and stretching and twisting and all this stuff. And I like to remind guys, warm up doing what you're doing. So get on the incline bench and warm up. Let your body go through that motion. But like you said, you know, it's funny, but literally just Sunday, my training partner was telling another guy we trained with, he goes, if I didn't show the weight and filmed Dusty doing his warm up and then filmed his first few reps of his heaviest working set, they look identical. And that's what you want to be thinking about when you're going. It's you are finding that movement. You're reintroducing your body to that today. And maybe you slept on your shoulder different or whatever. You just warm up until your body is like, okay, I'm ready to do what we do. You know, and I don't think that gets found doing 900 things in the stretching room and then coming out here and doing 2 warm-up sets and then saying it's time to go. Right. It might be, but some days that might be, I mean, shit, at our age, I do 135 for 2 sets every time.
Yeah.
Then I go to 225. Then maybe in some weeks it's 275. Some weeks we skip 275, we go right to 315. It's all depending on how the body's feeling, you know? So there needs to be a little more flexibility with what you do between the time you walk in the gym and your first working set. You know, that part is okay to let move around a little bit because and forget about injury. I'm not even claiming injury. You want to make sure you're in that movement. And we all know those days, say you're deadlifting or squatting, where you get under the bar, the first rep feels just smooth. You do 10 reps and you're like, oh, it's going to be a good day. Like my body just find this. And then the days that you go in there and you're like, I swear I have squatted in my life before. It doesn't appear like it the way I'm fighting every inch of this movement. Right. So you find that squat or that deadlift before you kick it off and really roll. That way, when it's time to move weight, you know, whether it takes me 5 sets to get there or 3, once it's time to work, I should be there, you know.
I've got myself, this is what I like to do for myself, and I've put it into some of my more advanced. And that, when I say this, like some of these people may be like physically more advanced than me, but I can go in and watch someone train, not even have anything to do with their workout and see where they're going wrong. And I know both of you guys can too. So what I like to do with myself is I instead of just moving weight, like I do that too, but like I'm solely focused on the contraction. I say solely, like in my opinion nowadays, I like to really, I mean, I can move weight. Don't get me wrong. I was telling this kid today, like I can deadlift 600 pounds. That's not my goal right here. I want to feel it, stretch it, and all that, and things like that. And so the way I like to warm myself up is, you know, say we're going to do 4 exercises. My very first exercise is I'm trying to find that mind muscle connection where from the second that I pick the weight up, we'll just say a pec deck, right? So if I'm going to do chest today or push or whatever, and my first exercise is going to be incline bench, I might start on the pec deck. And what I'm trying to do is I'm just trying to be able to, without even thinking about it, engage my chest all the way through the whole entire range of motion through the whole set. And what I tell these kids is, if you pick up the weight and you lose the mind muscle connection, then you don't count that rep. And I'm not like, I still want you to go in there and train hard, but at the same time, you need to know what contracting that muscle is. So in a long story short, I'm building my mind muscle connection to be perfect. That way, when I step foot into the gym of starting my workout, like I said, that doesn't even, yes, it's part of my workout, my warm-up regimen, but that's not part of my 4 exercises. When I'll put that on a workout, but I'll say, now, when we get to incline bench, we're working. I still want you to do however many sets of 135 and 225 it takes to get you where you need to be. But this first exercise is just building mind muscle connection. Right. And I was talking to a football coach, football weightlifting coach, and he was like, oh yeah, we call that neuro aligning or something like that. And I was like, well, I don't know all the fucking fancy terms, but I'm just trying to build my mind muscle connection. Like he had college and he knows all this shit. But I just, like I said, I'm trying to get you to hone in on to the mind muscle connection. That way you're not 5 sets into incline bench before you find mind muscle connection. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm,
and then once you find it, it's there. Like it's just like we do all these other things. It's second nature. I've got it. I go into the second, third, and fourth exercise, and I've worked my chest, not just my ego, and just moved weight. And so that's what I like to do. That's how I'm trying to program a lot of these new people.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of these
a lot of
people,
it just comes down to experience, though. Like we can talk all this and have give all these pointers, but Dusty critiqued my videos 6 years ago, and until I finally got checked off on like, all right, your intensity is good, from there it just becomes, now you just need to train for years, and you keep learning new ways to connect to your body just by continually going in the gym month after month, year after year. A lot of the problem is you're trying to teach someone that's 22, 23, knowing that even if they do start to get it now, they're probably not going to fully start to get it until they're 28.
Mm-hmm.
And how many clients are going to stick with you solely for the next 5 years? So at the end of the day, like the conversations I have are like, training's not black and white. If you are not willing to spend the next 5 to 7 years trying to get better training, you're not going to be a good bodybuilder. Same thing with drugs, same thing with food, same thing with all. Like it's so all encompassing that you're only in the gym an hour, hour and a half. Like you're not getting that much better in that one session. You don't just leave the gym like, I have figured out how to contract my chest and I'll never have to think about it again. Like I just figured out a new way to train my chest like 2 days ago. And it's because I've been perpetually lean for months, so my mind muscle connection's very enhanced. That's another thing too. I think younger people don't have a ton of money and competing costs a lot, but at some point you should do a full-on mock prep and not get ready for the stage, but at least diet for 20 weeks, because you'll learn mind muscle connection and get connected to your body better when you're lean than when you're just full of water and glycogen and heavy and moving weight in a bulk state. So the biggest thing I try to really hone in on the young people is like, I can teach you now, but it's going to take years to really like develop mastery towards it.
Oh yeah.
Well, we talked to Dave Tate this week, and he brought a point that was really strong, which is whether it's powerlifting or bodybuilding, the first question is, do you love to train? And I mean, love to train.
Yeah.
Because if you don't love to train, I don't suggest you get into this thinking it's going anywhere. And not for any reason other than this. If you come on and you want to work with me and you're young, I mean, you guys have seen my pictures when I got into bodybuilding. Like I didn't look like I was going to be 300 pounds in a few years. I was in good shape, looked like an athlete. So you have to tell people, here's what you're really signing up for. Give me 5 to 8 years of your life, day in, day out. Grind in the gym, eat, and all these things. And at that 5 to 8 year mark, I will tell you then if you have what it takes. Because until then, I don't know. I mean, if you're a phenom, if you're a Phil Heath where you touch the weights and blow up, and then 2 years later you're a pro, fine. But most of us, I mean, I was tinkering with weights for years. In 06 did a show and then really dialed in for 2 years. So again, now we're talking 3 or 4 years total before I was able to win an overall. And then it took 2 more years with no breaks to be ready for a national show. So now I'm 6 years deep. And at that point is when I went, oh yeah, I could do this. So, everyone wants that answer up front. Like, hey, before we get into this, am I going to make it? And I'm like, just quit, dude. Because I never gave a shit if I was going to make it. There's no place I'd rather be. If I stop making money from bodybuilding, if I don't do any social media, anything, tomorrow morning at 8 a.m., I'll be in the gym.
Yeah.
There's nowhere I would rather be. Off days are still the worst days. I'm not even like chasing anything. It's just like, well, I'm off today. And I'm like, what am I going to do with that 2 hours? I got like 2 hours and I have plenty to do, but I'm like, I want to do things that like push out some angst.
That's
You
right.
know, it's just a different land. And I hope that people get that is you should get into bodybuilding because, or powerlifting or whatever, because you love to train. Because I promise if that's your base, you will be better without question. You know, it's that stupid saying about the guy who likes to run versus the guy that wants to race. I mean, it is true. Like if you love training, the cool news is this. If in 5 years we determine you're not ever going to be a pro bodybuilder, you're a hell of a lot better than you were 5 years ago. Congratulations.
Yeah. I mean, love of the game. That's what the segment's titled. So
We'll be tying it in on accident.
I just think that, and I'm not saying, we talk about this all the time, I'm not saying social media's got this twisted, but everyone's doing a transformation. Everyone's doing this and that. Like, and that's what we talked about as far as like when someone comes to you and says, hey, I want to sign up for your 4-month program. You can't do anything in 4 months. I'm not saying you can't align them with their goals and you can't set them up with some good structure, but 4 months, I had a kid message me about starting some tests, and he messaged, he bought 3 bottles of test, not from me. He bought 3 bottles of test, and he wanted me to tell him how to run them and things like that. And he's like, so, you know, before I was eating a bunch of bullshit. Now I've cut it back to clean and I'm at the same weight. So basically he got leaner, but he's back to the same weight before when he was eating the bullshit. Now he's eating clean and he's taking the testosterone. He's seen a little bit of this, a little bit of that. And he's like, I just want to make sure I'm doing this right because I haven't seen the scale go up anymore. And I'm like, I sent that to Dusty or Tommy, and I was like, it's just one of those deep breaths where you're like, buddy, I don't know how many bottles of testosterone I've ran, you know what I mean, to this point. And like, he's 2 bottles of testosterone in and he thinks that muscle should be popping out of his ears. Like,
Right.
what do you, I mean, other than just being blunt saying, dude, you got a long fucking way to go. And then you demotivate them. What do you say?
Simple. I just did this morning. I tell people to do what I did, which was love the game, love the grind, put your head down and work every day. Eat your food, do your training, prioritize your nutrition, your supplements, all those things. And I promise, and I've told this a million times, I can tell you which bench I was sitting on in Gold's Gym Gilbert when I looked up in the mirror one day and went, oh shit, I'm fucking big. Because I had my head down. I wasn't looking. I wasn't analyzing my physique every week. I just went to the gym, ate my food, did my thing. And I mean, I swear to you, Turner, I'm doing a shoulder press. I got done. I was young, so I was in a tank top. I don't do that anymore. Put the weight down. I looked up and went, whoa, as if I hadn't seen myself in 3 years. But it just was like a light switch. And I've talked to other guys who have that story where they were just banging their head against the wall and they want to get huge. And all of a sudden they go, oh, now mind you, I've put on 40 pounds since then in my career too. But that's the secret is if you do these things and you put all of your focus, don't put your focus into the result, put your focus into the work. If you are executing the plan that I'm writing you, if you are training to the hardest level of your ability and constantly looking to up that ante and find a better connection, you are prioritizing sleep. If you're doing these things, I promise you, it is impossible for you to not eventually look in the mirror and go, oh, the problem is people overestimate what they can do in 6 months and underestimate what they can do in 5 years. That's the secret. They want it faster. 5 years. Holy shit. I can turn you from broke to a millionaire in 5 years. In 6 months, I can set up your base.
You can set it up. You can't build them a base, right?
No, you can set it up.
I mean,
you
2 years.
You haven't even started building. That's my point, whether it's business or bodybuilding. In 6 months, we have a foundation to start from.
Right.
And now we start working. But because most people are dissatisfied in 3 months or 6 months, they stop. And I mean, this is, I mean, I didn't coin that phrase. It is a thing everyone knows. Keep going. Because then all of a sudden, like I said, in 5 years, 10 years, everyone notices. And Tommy and I've talked about this many times. Like, no one wants to talk about the things that they didn't see for the 6, 7, 8, 9 years. But they do want to talk about when the guy makes it. He's huge. He's got money. He's got nice things. I want those. Well, you can't have those if you don't take the 9 years you didn't watch.
Right.
Simple.
Going back to what you said a second ago, I wasn't able to keep up with all your numbers, but when you started in the gym serious, I don't mean your years of tinkering with the weights. When you set out on a plan,
2006.
I don't know if
2006. Yes.
That's when it was like hell or high water. We're going to get big.
Yep.
At the plan was set. You were following the plan to a T, no deviations. 2006.
Yes. Yep.
How many years did you go no deviation, straight go before you took a step back and was like, okay, I'm gonna, I don't mean this has nothing to do with gear or anything. I just want to know how many years straight gung-ho you went where there were no deviations, because I know it was some years. I know it wasn't just 6 months like some of these people think.
Oh no, I mean, as far as training, nutrition, I mean, I would have the planned cheat meals, everything like that.
Yeah, right.
But from 2006 until I retired,
Except
I
for the
never
nap.
stopped. Yeah. Well, I retired. I took the nap after retiring, so we're good. But yeah, I mean, that's what I mean. It's funny now that Tommy's ingrained that in my head, but there was nothing I would rather do. That's the thing that people don't get. Like, off season when Tommy knows I don't like to eat. I don't like to eat a lot of food. I'm fortunate. I don't need to eat a lot of food to grow. But just like anybody, to grow, I have to eat more than I want to.
Right.
I would sit there and love the fact that I was forcing myself to do something I didn't want to do by eating, because I knew what was going to happen. And then when you're in prep and you're suffering and you're tired, and then you get off in the other direction, like, oh, this is the shit. You know what I mean? This is what I love to do. And it would never cross my mind. Like, I hear guys all the time, I can't wait till this is over. They're in prep. Can't wait till this is over. I'm like, could be over today. No one's making you do it. Stop. You don't love this. And I don't know why you would feel the need to do this. See, when we started Turner, bodybuilding was still kind of a sideshow. Like, if you said, I'm competing in the gym, somebody go, in what? Like, now it's a thing. I mean, you see Sally's mom and she's like, I'm doing a show, and everyone in the gym goes, oh, Sally's mom's doing a show. They know what it means. So that's a lot of the reason that people want to get into competing now, is there's street cred with it immediately. Oh, I'm competing. You know what I mean? But that's all I did. Like, bodybuilding. I mean, somebody asked me the other day on my Q&A, do you give bodybuilding 100%? And I laugh. I'm like, no, not even close. Not even close. But back then, my entire life was bodybuilding, and then I put everything else around it. Like, bodybuilding was more important than business to me back in the day. Like,
Absolutely.
I'd bodybuild, and that's like, cool. Now, how do I make my version of what good money was is more than most, but how do I make good enough money to feel okay spending all this and set up for my future? If I really was serious like I am now, I would have said, quit bodybuilding, go make a few $1 million. Like, it takes a lot of focus, but there was nothing I'd rather do. I mean, I sold my business because I was making money from bodybuilding. And I realized, because I can tell you exactly what happened. I went to Germany. I was doing 10-hour days at a booth, going to the gym to training at night, coming back to the hotel, getting on my computer, working for 3 hours remotely from Germany to Arizona. And I told myself, okay, who that I'm competing against that's a bodybuilder is doing this? Okay, no one. They're focused on winning. Okay, now who that's a business owner is doing the bodybuilding side that I'm doing? No one. They're focused on their business. Okay, so I'm going to be mediocre at both if I stay. Okay, I can't bodybuild later. I can buy a business later. I'm gonna sell my business. So that is how much bodybuilding mattered. Like I gave myself a pay cut because I wanted to bodybuild. And I also knew I couldn't look myself in the mirror as a businessman knowing I was getting outworked by everyone because I wasn't focused.
Right.
You know, you can't focus on two major things at once. You got to pick, or you got to, you know, put 90% into this one for a while, then 90 into that one, and both of them are mediocre, you know? So yeah, the answer is simple. Like my entire career, bodybuilding was the most important thing to me.
I've said the same thing. I said when I was, and I'm just like you now. I'm still gung ho. The gym's the best part of the day. The training days are. I feel I get giddy. Like it's like I'm making my pre-workout, I'm making all that, then it's jumping in my truck and I'm going to the gym. You know what I mean? Like it's not giddy anymore because I just know what I'm doing. But at the same time, like that's like the same feeling as that morning when you wake up and you're getting dressed to go on a field trip as a kid, right? You know what I mean? And so I just tell people my tunnel vision or my vision was like this when I was bodybuilding. And what I mean by that for people that don't understand is like when you go to the grocery store and you already know where everything is and you can almost but within $3 guess exactly what your total is going to fucking be. That's when you know what you're doing. I'm not, you know, there's 47 aisles, but I know I only got to hit 3 of them. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
When I leave there, I'm taking the quickest route back to the house to start cooking, to prep, to do all those things. It wasn't like, well, let's just ride by the movie theater and see what's playing tonight. Like, and so that was how it was. That's all I thought about. Why is this taking more time than it should? I need to get to the gym. I need to prep food. Now that I'm not saying I'm done with bodybuilding or competing. It's just I've been able to open my lens a little bit more. And because I left so much money on the table. That's the way I like to refer to it. It's the exact same thing you just said. I just refer to it as leaving money on the table because all I could think about was bodybuilding. And really all I was concerned about at the time was making enough money to be able to do all the things and afford all the things that I needed. I wasn't like, well, let's stash millions in the bank too while I'm, you know what? Yeah. Now I'm like, fuck the New York Pro. Let's stash millions in the bank. You know what I'm saying?
So Tommy, you know, you're still in the heart of it. And I think this is a good point to bring forward. Like you're in a position because of the business you put yourself in where you can do both. How does that benefit you as an athlete and as a coach? And is it ever cumbersome?
I think I'm just always leading from the front. Like I know the cost of bodybuilding. So when I get guys that may resemble someone like me when I was younger, I can just lay it out to them straight, kind of like you did with me. Like, look, dude, unless you figure out a way to make some money, you're never going to know how good you're going to be. And that's real. Like the best bodybuilder figures out how to afford bodybuilding to be the best bodybuilder. Unless you are a trust fund baby or you inherited a lot of money or you have some sort of sugar spouse, you need to make money to be a good bodybuilder. So I think, I mean, not everyone has a you like I did, but a lot of these things we're talking about, like I had periods of my life where I might have been that individual. I remember sending you an email, you know, in 2018 maybe, and I was like, we were just starting a cycle. I was going to blow up. And I said that. I was like, I'm ready to blow up. And all you said back to me was like, just understand that there is no point of blowing up. I've never said that again. And any client I have that mentions blowing up, I give them that same sentence back. You will never blow up. You will never wake up and feel blown up. I still have, I mean, maybe at peak cycle in the gym, I'm like, damn, I'm full, but that's about it.
Yeah.
So I think I've just had good mentors. I've, you know, these podcasts and like listening to every single thing you've ever told me and applying it. You know, I don't go out of my way to show how much money I have. I'm not driving a Lambo. Like I drive a fucking muscle Equinox. Like I'm not trying to impress anyone, but I know I can run circles around national level guys and pros when it comes to finances. And for me, being the best bodybuilder means creating the best life. Every single year I've been competing, my income has drastically went up, And I quit a career. Like, I lived out of it on an air mattress. I lived out of a gym. Like, I had some times where it was like, I literally don't know how much longer I'm gonna have a roof over my head, but I was still training. I was created a way to resource my way to doing a meal prep. So I think, you know, in saying that, what helps me is like, a client's not going to present a situation that I haven't been through, because I did quit a full-time career to pursue bodybuilding. I did move away from everything I've ever known across country to pursue bodybuilding.
Mm-hmm.
I'm currently making high-risk business choices, you know, spending lots of money on mentors and business mentorship, and, you know, doing things I never thought I'd be doing, but the payout will be worth it down the line, all while pursuing, you know, I'm 3 weeks out from USA's, and my days are 30 times busier than when I was in the peak of my off season. So I don't, you know, when I hear guys talk about that they need to slow it down because they're in prep or they can't take on more clients, that doesn't compute with me, because, you know, I had a show 2 weeks ago. I did a consult with a guy the day before the show and signed him up. Like, to me, there's never a time where you can't be working.
Right.
I got off stage, showered, had my meal, and I was doing updates for Saturday clients. Like, to me, there's no slowing down. And we have a very small window of time where we can do that. I mean, I think, you know, like, there was probably a period of your life where it was, and I know the period because when you were running the stores, you were training fasted, putting in 14-hour days. Like, no one sees that. So I think the misconception is, like, bodybuilders that get big, all we do is sit on our ass, watch Netflix, eat food, and train, and that's it. We don't do anything else. I've actually become a much better bodybuilder the more and more and more I put on my plate. And now it's just white noise.
You know why that is, though, right? In prep, I think the hardest part is being hungry. And so when you eat your last meal and you set your timer for 2.5 hours, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna watch this little movie, and then I might get a nap, and then I'm gonna wake up, and then I still got an hour left. It's like, what am I gonna do for a fucking hour? What is Tommy doing?
Mm.
You're doing fucking check-ins, you're fucking talking on the phone, you're gonna go train somebody. I tell people all the time, like, off season's a little different, but it shouldn't be much different. Like, in prep, when you are fucking starving, you should have notepads. You should have, I say you should, but again, like, this is me, this is us. We've done this. We've kind of figured out why people make the mistakes they make. But, like, when you're all the time busy, time flies, dude. When I'm in the grind and I'm sitting here working and I'm on my computer and I'm texting and I'm emailing, like, it's like, wow, dude, now it's time to fucking eat. But
Yeah.
If all I had to do was, and I'm not saying, you know, I think the top 5 in the world, like Nick Walker, I'm sure at this point he's a little bit more busy than he was 5 years ago. But it just, in my opinion, prep was always so much harder when I didn't have a lot going on. Like, you could sleep away your 2.5 hours between every meal, but always felt like that just made me feel like more shit when all I did was sleep all day. Like, it made me not want to leave the house. It made me not want to go to the grocery store. But, like, when I'm always running and I'm gunning, I enjoy that. I feel like I'm pushed up against the wall to get all these things done in a day, and it makes the day go by so fast. And it's like, wow.
Well, you don't have time to analyze when you're in prep either, which is important. You know, a lot of guys, they spend too much time thinking about what they look like and what's going on, and that's a hang up for them. Busy is great, but, you know, I also just encourage people to understand, and I'm fortunate to finally be in this position now to say, like, okay, well, number one, chances are that no one that's listening to this is a top 10 in the world person eventually. They might be, but they're probably not. But that does not mean you can't create an income as a bodybuilder and enjoy your life. Because, you know, and you know this, Turner, I mean, you know, when you have either people you're mentoring or kids, things like that, you start using words differently. Like, I used to use the word money all the time because I am money motivated, but then I realized a lot of people are not. So the word is happiness now. Like, what do you want? And you need to create that for yourself. And you can use bodybuilding to do that. You know, I knew the day I, you know, the first time when I won junior nationals, I looked at the pictures and I'm like, all right, I'm good enough to turn pro, but that's kind of the end of the road. I mean, I can only put on so much muscle. It's going to land kind of like it does now. So I'll be a bigger version of myself. How do I make a career out of this? Because this is what I want to do. And then I look in my toolbox, see which tools I have that shine really well, and I use them to have a career that also, when you're done, I can keep going. I mean, when my current deals run out, I will have been retired for 9 years. Like, that to me is how you plan a career, because even if you're a top 10 guy, I mean, I don't want to name any names, even though I could. There are plenty of guys from the 90s who slayed, and then their career ended, and then they were broke, and then they were like, what am I going to do? You know,
They're working the desk at the gyms.
yeah, you don't want that. Like, you know, because it should look back. This is the thing that we literally talked about this last night at the cigar bar. You should take lessons from bodybuilding and apply them to your life for further success, because you saw what happened when you zeroed in on your show. You saw when you put all of your focus into this goal, what happened. Then the lessons you learned, the mistakes you made, and you reapply and you reapply and you reapply. The sad thing is that most people that are in this sport walk away with less than they came into it with, because the only thing they were thinking about was, what do I look like? And there's a lot more to gain from this than that. You know, I mean, it's the same reason you sign kids up for sports. Sad news, parents, most of your kids ain't playing pro ball, but they should walk away with life lessons that they can apply to become successful humans. And that's the thing I like to, you know, I really get into with clients, is the mental side. I'm going to make your physique look better, but if I really do my job, I'll make your life look better. You're going to learn how to apply these things. I mean, I don't care if you're a mom, I'll make you be a better mother. And I've never been a mom before, because you're going to learn how to, like you were saying, Turner, you get so busy, you have to, your time needs to be run tight. You know, I mean, I just had a guy send me an email the other day. He goes, you'll understand why I had trouble getting my food in. Here's my diet or my schedule. And I looked at it, I'm like, I literally sent it to Nikki. I go, what do you see? She goes, 8 hours. I'm like, me too. I see 8 hours a week unfilled. And that's what I didn't get into, how much time he's on Instagram and all. Like, they were just right out in the open, just gaps of time. And I'm like, you think you're busy? That's hysterical. Like, I don't see this, but you know, so when I turn and teach him how to do that, I don't care if he ever becomes a great bodybuilder, but he will become an efficient person and will have a better life because of bodybuilding. You know what I mean?
Yes. And then that's when you take that out of bodybuilding and apply that to a hustle. Yeah, exactly. Being a mom.
Yep.
I know. I had a client of mine. He's been a client of mine since like 2017. And he runs this crazy, intricate Airbnb system. And he was like, since being with you as a coach, and now he was motivated. He was a hustler before me, but it's like you said, you broke it down super, super, super simple and alleviated all this extra stress thinking. And he said, bodybuilding he said, the money that I've invested in bodybuilding is a net positive for me, because it's taught me how to be, I can micromanage every single moment of the day to make my training and my muscle building and my meals optimal. Now all I do is take that into my business.
Yep.
And then once you build a machine of one business and you get somebody, you know, and you teach them how to do it, I'm gonna go over here and start this other business. Yep. While still bodybuilding.
Mm-hmm. It doesn't have to take away. That's the missing link of people, is a lot of people think you have to choose. And I mean, Tommy knows it's my running joke of life is my choice is both. Whatever the options are, I want both.
Yeah.
Because why not? Like, why would I not want it all? You know what I mean? If you're willing to do what it takes to have them. And again, it's back to the love of the game thing. Like, you know, all of that applies to work. You know, for example, you guys are in relationships, you're hustlers. A lot of women and men, so we're going to reverse the role, want to be with someone who is successful, but they don't see what comes along with it.
Right.
You know, like I joke all the time. I'm like, hey, Nikki, I know that I provide some pretty cool shit, but did you ever think that you would be with somebody who works 7 days a week? No days off ever. We go on vacation. I need 4 hours a day.
Yeah.
I don't want the days off. I don't know how to operate. I get stressed out. My entire life is built on fear. Like I wake up every day and say, okay, there are X amount of people on the entire planet that do what I do. Now, how many million want my job? I will not lose it today. And that's it. That is my daily routine that grinds, and it's fun, you know, but no one sees those sides. And that's what I mean about the love of the game. Like, you know, I know you guys have this where you're getting a lot of check-ins, and all of a sudden you have a day that you get like 7 check-ins. And like, I'll go back to my notes. I'm like, is everyone checked in? Are we good? Like I get stressed as if I somehow lost X amount of clients overnight, you know,
Right.
Then the next day I have 42 check-ins. I'm like, oh, there we go. There's some pain. You know what I mean?
Pay the bills.
But I mean, that's you love it. And that's the thing. I mean, I love the title of your guys' podcast because I feel like whatever you get into, if passion is the driving force and you can apply consistency, you can make it your thing. I don't want to call it a business because not everybody wants to turn everything to money, but you can make it something that can make your life better, you know? And I think that's where most people get it wrong. You know, like I was saying about the money side, I have friends who their sole focus is money and they make way more money than I do. And they're unhappy. And I'm like, at what point are you going to realize that money is not what you're looking for? You have lots of that. You have more now than you did 3 years ago. Why are you in a worse place? You know what I mean? You need to self-audit and figure out what makes you tick before you can make any other decisions in life. You know, if not, you're literally running your goals off of someone else's, you know, list of importance.
It's a script.
You know, so yeah, I mean, that's the whole, you know, go to high school, go to college, get married, have 2 children, have a golden retriever, 1,800 square foot house, climb the ladder. You know what I mean? The thing that all of us went, oh, that sounds scary as shit. I can't even breathe thinking about that. But people do that in other ways. Same thing. Like the other flip is go make as much money as you want. I'm like, maybe that's not your deal. Maybe you want to go home at 5 o'clock and forget about work every day and drink beer and hang out with your girlfriend. There ain't nothing wrong with that as long as you guys are both on the same page, you know, but everything has to be driven, in my opinion, by passion, because if you're doing anything that you're not passionate about, you're losing. Because, you know, and I know you guys know I jump on this every chance I get, but you are dying right now. Don't waste time doing anything or with anyone you don't want to. Fuck that shit. You know, I mean, Tommy left a career. I did the same when I was young. I left window tinting. I was making 80 grand a year at like 20 something years old, quit the job to make $8.25 an hour to work at a supplement store. And I loved it because I hated my job. And had I never made it very far, if I was making 50 grand a year right now, but loving what I did, winner. I hated that job. You know what I mean? And that's the thing. It's what drives you. And if you're fortunate enough, that thing that drives you also might make you a good living. But if it doesn't, I still think you win.
All right, I got a question. I don't want the definition. I want the definition, but I want it in Dusty terms.
That's the only way I talk.
What does passion mean to you?
Passion to me is something that is within you. For example, like I don't know if somebody said to me, why do you love bodybuilding? What drew you to it? Birth. I have no idea. Like I can break it down, you know, micro things that I enjoy about it, but I have no idea why it became an obsession. I have no idea why, since I was a kid, I wanted to look like a freak when no one else did. It's just a driving force that I woke up every day wanting to do. You know, passion to me is effortless feeling, you know, And then you take that passion and you use it as a driving force to do a lot of shit you might not want to do in order to get it.
I like it. I always say it's the thing that like it wakes you up out of bed. You know, you as you know, the pro bodybuilder, the amateur bodybuilder that you were, you didn't need to set an alarm to be up at 5 to get your first meal. Like when your eyes woke up, it was probably 4:55 and it was, let's go eat. You know what I mean? Take a piss, go eat. And you like, you're just going to do it regardless. Like you said, $50,000, $650,000, like that's what you're going to do. And then you'll just figure it out along the way, how to make money to afford that.
Right. Yeah, no, it's driven because you, like you said, I mean, what would you rather do? You know, at the end of the day, you know, we all say this, I do what I want to do every day.
Yeah.
That's true to the whole, but that doesn't mean I'm not doing 50 things I don't want to do.
Yeah.
For the big thing. You know what I mean? It doesn't mean that I'm like, I don't take the trash out ever because I don't like to take the trash out. You know what I mean? But it means that as a whole, the thing I want to do, anything that comes along with it that's not my favorite is fine. You know, I mean, I love traveling and to expos. I hate flying on airplanes, but I kind of got to do that part to get to the expo. So it is what it is.
I like what Ron said about it. And he's obviously taken it back 25 years, but he was like, I don't really think of it as that anymore because there's not that many, but he's like, when I first saw bodybuilding, I looked at these guys are like the outlaws, right? Like the guys were that, and it's like, I call it, a cult because it is, it's a cult. And we're talking about bodybuilders here. We're not really talking about Men's Physique Classic, nothing to knock against those guys. But when you first saw the biggest guy you'd ever saw in person, it was almost like, I mean, tell me, what was your experience? The first big guy you saw, what were you thinking?
Well, what's crazy is first a step further back was I was drawn to bodybuilding like at a real young age. I remember seeing Dorian Yates on the cover of magazines, and I had an art class as a kid and I drew him once. And I didn't even know who he was. I didn't know what Mr. Olympia was, none of this stuff. And coincidentally, my art teacher knew who he was when I got done. She's like, it's Dorian Yates. I'm like, yeah. Why do you know that? You know, and she's like, you're into bodybuilding? I'm like, I don't know. Like, it just was like, literally just like, that's wild. It wasn't even like, I wasn't even lifting weights at that point. Like it just immediate drawn to it. You know what I mean? And then over time, like you said, number one, I noticed a few things that I love to look back at. There was a guy that I was neighbors with that was this big bodybuilder. He was like one of the best in Arizona. And I remember my first apartment. So I'm older now, 19 years old. He lived in the neighborhood. And I remember seeing him at the pool and just being like, whoa, someday. And the reason I say it's a 2-point thing is then I went through my career and then I saw pictures of him when my view of what big had changed. And I realized he was never that big. Like it was just way bigger than I had ever seen. You know what I mean? So that's a waking up thing as well. Cause the first real pro I saw was, you remember Garrett Downing? He had won USA's years ago. He never really went anywhere, but he did a guest posing at a show, one of the first shows I went to. And it was the first time I saw someone and he was dead off season. So it was just big. And I remember thinking like, that's not even human. I want to look like that. You know what I mean? It was just an immediate, and that's why I guess it was fortunate that my ability to get big was much better than my ability to get pretty, because I just wanted to be massive. I just remember thinking like, you know, you'd see these guys just in a t-shirt and you're like, you couldn't not notice. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you have to. So that was the draw. And then of course we know that once you get into it, that's the end of you ever being big for the rest of your life. Because, you know, when I was in high school, when I was 215, I was huge. And you were lucky I was in the room. And then, you know, you're competing at 270 and you're like, oh, I got a long way to go.
Yeah.
This is terrible. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
only when you see a picture of yourself in your prime around other people that you go, oh, I was weird looking. Like,
What is a picture or a time that you look back on now that's like, damn, I was big?
literally happens pretty often now being with Mutant, because I'll see old pictures. And I mean, I'm not small now, but
Right.
I'm nowhere near that. So it's like, I think that's a cool thing, is when you've come down, because you look and I'm like, I don't even remember being that big. Like there was I don't even know why it was sent to me, but it was an old image of just trying on some of the clothes, and I hit a front double in this tank top, and I was like, I don't remember my arms being that big, especially in a front double, because my physique just didn't. I always looked bigger just standing. You know what I mean? And I just remember thinking like, wow. And I mean, I knew how big they were in measurements, but visually I just was like, so that's what 22 plus inches looked like. That's crazy, you know? And then if somebody would have said to me, man, you got big arms, I'm like, no. They got to come up. They got to come up.
Oh yeah.
You know, add 9 inches.
I'll say this, and I'm not trying to toot your horn or anything, but of all the bodybuilders that I've ever seen, strong guys, you know, just big guys, like one thing that always stood out about you to me, and I didn't realize this until I actually saw you in person, was like the way your traps run all the way up to like your fucking right here.
Do you're right here.
I don't even know. Like, I've never seen muscles on anyone like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, when I don't know if that's just from years and years of heavy ass fucking bent rows and deadlifts. I mean, I know what it's from, but like, it's like they're thick on both sides of your neck, all the way up above your ears. And I was like, damn. You know, and I've seen like Dallas's calves. I've seen, you know, Justin Compton's fucking arms and things like that. But I was just like, that stood with me. I was like, I have never seen that on anyone else.
I think Turner, that came because my head is so big and it's so heavy that just holding my head up all the time, it required that. I mean, I will say that from, you know, now that, and even now it's nice, even though my size doesn't matter as much. I think the greatest compliment that I get at every event my entire career was that people would walk up and go, you're bigger than I thought you would be.
Yeah.
And that's always like a plus, because you like, I always thought, man, I would hate it to be the opposite, where they walk up, they're like, right, you look bigger in pictures. You know what I mean? Right. Because that was that's my favorite. Tommy's heard this, but my favorite USA story, the very first year I went, I remember like being backstage and seeing everybody peel down, and I was like, these guys are big. Like, they are big, you know? So we go out on stage and, you know, I do my thing, and it's pretty obvious I'm in the top 5. And I'm come walking out, and Aceto walks towards me. He goes, you are a monster up there. And I'm like, what? And he's like, you're the biggest guy there. It's not as well put together. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, I mean, in my head, I was like this small little thing walking out there. And then they showed me pictures, and I was like, wow. I mean, it does show you, in my opinion, if you're good, you don't see how good you are, and you really see how good other people are. I think that's a positive attribute if you're good at this, because, you know, it wasn't, I mean, like I said just now, I mean, it wasn't until my career ended and it was done that I looked back and went, oh, it's a lot better than I thought I was, you know, and not at all changing, you know, as far as my success rates, but just like, wow, it was better than I remember. And that's a cool thing to look back at, because in bodybuilding, all we're shooting for is more. There's no time to say, you know, like, I didn't need to talk about my back. Your back is shh. I need to bring up my legs. Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I think that's the beauty of the game, is you're chasing a carrot you can't catch. You will never be happy. And if you are, the word for that is retired. You're done.
And you know that, but you know that compliment wouldn't have hit home if it was from anybody else.
Right. Oh yeah, no. Yeah.
You'd have been, dude, fuck you. You know what I mean? That's like, and you probably thought that. You probably laughed like, whatever, Chris, shut up, dude. Like, you're my coach. Of course you're going to say that.
Yeah, I think what it was, though, the nice fit with that was because it was literally the opposite of what I was thinking. And then when you see, you're like, nice. And it is helpful because, you know, another thing that I found bodybuilders make the mistake of is Tommy, for example. His game needs to be being sliced and being massive. We aren't trying to play the, you know, who's got the wasp waist game. We ain't winning that game, you know?
Right.
So you go in, it's you know, it's an old Gary V thing. Fuck your weaknesses. Focus on your strengths. Because if you change your strength up 10% in the positive, it's going to do a lot more than increasing your weakness 10%. Who cares? You know, and I'm not saying obviously ignore muscle groups, but like there's just certain things in bodybuilding there's nothing you can do about. So I never even thought about my waist. I have wide hips. I should have been a woman. I could have born 200 children. I don't know. But so you just go, okay, those are my hips. What can I do? I'll get as big as possible and maybe it won't matter.
That was always my game.
Yep.
I gotta eat. All right, I got one good question for you.
All right.
Good question, in my opinion.
Could be shit.
The best workout you ever had?
This is almost impossible.
No, like I don't mean. I know. There's probably 1,000, but like, which one sticks out in your head where like you remember the exact weight for exact reps? You knew exactly what you did after that set. Like, just walk me.
So here's the workout. And I mean, I do have,
I know it's going to be.
I do have a handful, but and Tommy's going to be surprised by this one, but it might be one of his choices. The greatest workout I remember of my entire life was during that word we can't say where nobody could go to the gym. And Tommy, myself, and Will trained in an empty gym with paper covering the windows so no one could see, none of the lights on, and the music blasted through the roof. And we trained a back day where I think it was one of those days because we were pretty systematic with our training. We went in with a plan, and I don't know if we had a conversation with no words, but I think we all decided to try to just kill ourselves. It was a back day. And it was like, we should also do this. And we had very limited equipment in the gym at the time. So it was like, we're going to do barbell rows. Okay, let's do Meadows rows. You know what? Let's slide it over here to the turf and do some T-bar rows now. And I just remembered two things. Number one, I had two friends who were as train wreck as me that just loved it. And the whole world was shutting down around me. And the only thing I cared about was being in that gym. And I remember thinking like, this is truly all I need in this world is this space, you know? And I mean, thankfully I have some videos from that workout. So it was definitely fun. And it's great because there's video of literally all you see is whoever is training. And then you can see the windows behind us covered up and just music and screaming, you know? And I mean, that was definitely that period, to be honest with you. We had about 8 months of that day every day.
Yeah,
That's all.
I thought about a lot of those times, and I'm glad I have, you know, an archive of videos from that period, because I mean, there was times where the gym would get shut down for the weekend because the cops had come, and you know, we had to close the doors for at least 72 hours to get them off our back. And we would go to another spot and it was like this whole training in seclusion. Like it was like training wasn't allowed, like prohibition.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
We kept finding ways to train and like defying the man and like not bending the knee and doing what we wanted. And yeah, that was very, just to look back on it, what we were willing to do to train. That's all we wanted to do, was train hard. It wasn't like, and
that was our speakeasy.
Yeah. So there's a leg day I remember where this wasn't during that time, but I mean, we did leg extension, pre-exhaust, pendulum, loaded it up, leg press, 20 rep sets all the way up, just the kitchen sink. And we were in there for 3 hours. It was just you and me at this point. I think I was in prep in 2021. and I was gassed. Like I was hobbling between sets at the end. And I remember after we were done, you just like dropped to the floor and laid on the ground. I was like, oh, fuck yes, that means I can too. So I crashed on the ground because I never wanted to be like the one that tapped out in front of you. From the minute I started training with you, I was like, I'm never showing weakness. So when I saw that, and we were only down for like maybe 90 seconds, but it was like, you could hang your hat on that day's work. Like that was a good ass session.
Yeah. Those are the best, is the days where you really know, like, you don't have that. That's it. There's nothing left. And I think what's sad is we all train. I mean, I think a lot of people that are on this, that are even listening, but definitely the three of us, you chase days like that your entire career. You'll chase a set. I mean, I've talked about this, Turner. I'm sure you've heard it yourself. You know, those days where you're blasting out, you get your training partner scream, you got music, and all of a sudden during the set, you realize the sound goes out.
Oh, hell yeah.
You can't hear anything. And then you finish the set, you rack the weight, and it's like someone grabbed the old school knob and just turned the volume back up. And I've always thought to myself, why can't I find that every set? Because that's what I mean, that's the chase that people, that's the high that you're like, if I can get that today, just give me one of them.
Look, I've been able to take part in a couple different we'll say sports or hobbies and shit. Like I've heard of I'm big into racing too, and I've heard of other race car drivers say, like, when you're doing 200 miles an hour and like that tunnel vision is like, it's like bliss.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like shit could go wrong. Like you just slip up and do the wheel wrong and people could die. You could die. You know what I mean? Hundreds of thousands of dollars could be at stake, but it's like, that's bliss. And it's the same thing in bodybuilding. I mean, you got 400 pounds on a bar and you hitch or you do something wrong, and it's like time's passing by and things are happening. People are yelling at you, fucking screaming at you for another rep, and you're like, I didn't hear that. Like, I didn't hear my music. All I could see was like you in the mirror, but like I was straining so fucking hard that you know what I mean? Like, that's just bliss.
Yeah, no, that's the fun of the whole thing. And those are, you know, fortunately, that's the fun of coaching, is you have the good fortune to help people find that.
Yeah.
And you'll know when they do, you know, or when they send you a set. I love when someone sends me a video and you go, there it was. You know, like I had a girl send me a video just barely. She's a local girl, and I'm watching her do her RDLs, and she hits a number and I go, she's gonna drop the next one.
Yeah.
She's gonna put it down now.
Got it.
And she does a rep, and I'm like, oh, and I'm like, well, there's probably one more, but she's done. And she goes for it and she gets it, and I'm like, all right, bitch, you're here. Like, you know, and she finally failed, you know what I mean? But she went down for another and missed. And I literally text her, I'm like, that's it. If you can do that forever, you're a bodybuilder. Like, because I knew, like, you know, when you watch it, like, oh, they're tired. And it was already a good set according to most. But as Tommy and I say, like, that's when the set starts.
Right.
You know, and watching somebody grind out a rep and go, okay, there's no way she knows she's got one more. And then they go for it. You're like, shit, she knew. All right, good. You know, and that's the thing I try to push people to understand. Like, the day that Tommy sent me a video that was perfect, he never sent me a video that wasn't perfect ever again. Once you have it, you know, and it's over. Like, I don't even know. I probably accepted videos for him one or two more times. I'm like, just don't even bother sending videos. We're done. You know how to fucking train. I don't need to watch them. You don't need to record them unless you want to. We're done. Like, you're bodybuilding now. You know what I mean? And I did the same thing. And that's my hope with clients, is when you see that light bulb, and then you just hope that they understand. Now just apply that to arms, apply that to, you know, calves, to back, you know, you do that. And I remind clients all the time, you should be the person that everyone else in the gym thinks is a little crazy.
Absolutely.
Because
Turner's referred to that as like, be the hardest worker in the gym you're in, and then your city, and then any gym you enter in that geographical area is like, oh, what's up? Like, you you're almost just known based off, that's your badge of honor. It's like, I'm insert name and I train fucking hard. I'm here to fuck shit up.
Yeah, people, and that's the thing though, is that's a lost art in every aspect, because what we have now is there an easier way? And like, let's be honest, if you always choose, like I tell people, what's a movement you hate to do? And somebody will be like, oh, I hate doing like parking lot lunges. I got to take all the weight out there that I need to, lunge down the sidewalk. It's 120 degrees. I'm like, yeah, you hate that. Yeah. Do that every week.
Yeah.
Anything you don't want to do is the thing. Like, I laugh that people think for some reason that like I just really enjoy loading a bar up that's on the floor every week and rowing. Like, there's a reason everyone leans to the hammer strength equipment, because it's not as good. It's not as effective. It is not, I will argue to the death, because when we didn't have it, my back, which already was big and I was retired, exploded and got bigger, because all we had was a bar and gravity. Get to work.
Good.
I've got my most advanced clients. I'll give them their training now is I don't really have a name for it other than barbell dumbbell training, but every exercise except for one, it's got to be barbell and dumbbell. I don't want no goddamn hammer strength. I don't want anything. You can pick, and I allow them to pick one machine. So if you're training biceps and triceps, you get one machine.
Right.
If you're training back, you get one machine. It doesn't matter what you're training. I want everything else done, because like I know, that's when your most progress was made. That's when your biggest strength jumps were there. And I've got you eating. Hell, I've got people in contest prep doing that. I don't, and it's crazy that you go through all these years and all these cycles and all these new things. And then here you are 10, 15 years later, and you're taking them back to barbells and dumbbells.
Yep.
And you're giving them I'm giving them the one machine just to make them feel good. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I know that those 4 exercises on barbell and dumbbell is probably enough.
Right.
But I'm going to have one machine because that's still fun to them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You got to get away from the comfort, like Tommy knows, prior to that break that we can't mention on YouTube, I had different gyms for different body parts.
Yeah.
Oh, I like this over here. I like this over here. I like that. Yep. And then we trained on limited equipment because it was all we had. And then you start looking at your physique and you're like, what was I doing?
Yeah.
And I mean, we literally, we did one workout up at Gold's again, because it was right by where both of us lived. We did arms. We got pissed off and never went back.
Hated it.
Like one workout, they were giving us shit for those things you put over your mouth, and we never went back. And I literally lived there for years. My membership was free. I never went back there. And I just realized you don't need that stuff. Yep. So we would instead drive 20 minutes to go to a less equipped gym to get big.
Passing 5 other gyms on the way.
Tommy made the best gains of his career up to that point in a gym that had the most limited equipment. I mean, this, Turner, like in Scottsdale and Tempe and all those areas, we have 20 gyms that are better than every other town's one gym.
Yeah. And
we would pass all of those to get to the smallest gym in town that had great equipment, but very limited. And, and I think that was a huge, I wish I had learned that earlier in my career, because I didn't mean to be lazy. Like, you think you're being creative, you think you're paying attention to your body, but really you're choosing the easier thing.
100%. We tell ourselves it's the contraction that feels better, or it's this and that. It's like, no, pick up an 85-pound dumbbell and move that motherfucker till it will not move anymore. It's totally different than 6 plates on the hammer strength.
Yeah, no, agreed.
I got one more question before we let you go, and it may be the most important question yet. What's the first thing we're training in August? And most importantly, what are we eating in August?
I like these questions. These are ones I came on for. Well, being when I'm coming in, the first thing we will train is obviously going to be back. But the most important thing is our Sunday sermon for legs.
Done.
I am very amped to get back because now I've been training harder than I have in years for about 5 weeks by the time I get in there. So it should be very reminiscent of the old times, you know.
I might throw some paper on the windows just for,
exactly.
For old time's sake.
I want you to caution tape off any equipment that's really good that I'm not allowed to use anymore. So no, that'll be that. And then the thing about Arizona is people don't realize this, but I am the cheapest person on the planet. So to me, food quality is based on how much I can have for the money, you see. And you just cannot beat a $27 all-you-can-eat high-end sushi place. There is a cheaper place, but the quality dips too much. And there's been a few risked life moments, Turner, at my old favorite place where I would like smell the salmon. I'm like, I don't think this is a good idea.
Right.
This could be the second time I die in a 5-year time period. That's not good.
Yeah.
You know, so, but yeah, we'll be hitting those. And I'm actually coming down for 4 full days. So the only purpose of going is to train and eat. So
That's my kind of trip.
yeah, come home at 3:10 and still try to understand why I'm retired.
When you go to Arizona to train and eat, what do you do when you're not doing those two things?
That's it. I rent an Airbnb. I mean, it's my life at home. So I literally would go, I bring all my, my computer and everything comes with me. And the only difference is I probably eat 4 meals out a day and 2 meals at the Airbnb. And that's it. I mean, like, so I'm going there to, there's the, I don't know what they're calling it now, but what used to be the Europa show. So I got a 1-day event with Mutant to do. And then that's just an excuse to stay there, have some fun, train. That's it. I mean, Nikki and I go, we make a little fun of it. And then we go to a lot of old places I used to go to. And then she'll find probably a place a night that we'll go to that I've never been. She's like the king of finding the best food anywhere you go. So her job is to find the best places to go and we enjoy.
But you don't chill by the pool or get a massage or anything like that?
I mean, the place I have has a pool, but it'll be, and I'll get a tattoo on there. I booked 8 hours. So I'll do that while I'm there too.
Nice.
That's the shit. Well, appreciate your time, brother. I think there's a lot of good insights just into, kind of your career coming up and how, passion is the fuel source. I always say that passion and gratitude are the 2 things that if you are constantly putting out, nothing bad can happen in your forward path. So, anytime I can jump on the air with you and we just get time to actually sit and talk and not be texting while we're both busy is something I'm always grateful for. And I'm looking forward to seeing you in August. Turner, you got anything else?
Likewise.
Awesome.
I mean, we can do it. We could talk all fucking day.
That's the beauty of this. This will be one of those episodes where people realize what it would be like. The only difference is we're not sitting at a table eating food, but the conversations are pretty similar off air, which I think is something I wish people would understand is if you want to find success in life, and define that as you will, you surround yourself with people where this, all kidding aside, this is a conversation for us. This is what we go back and forth on online, or when we do get together. It's never about the things that you see people talking about. I don't care about celebrities. I don't care who Sally's dating from the gym. Like, what is forward progress? How can I help you get yours? How can you help me get mine? And the big one that I want to kind of drive home for people is there's room for everyone at the top. And I think that's where things get lost, is everyone's so afraid. Like I said, in one hand, I said a lot of people are after my job. And another hand, I'm helping a guy try to come get it, which is Tommy, because there's plenty of room. You know what I mean? So when you work together, there's a lot more to gain than trying to just kind of hold it all for yourself. So appreciate you guys having me on. And if you ever need a long talk without food, we'll do it again.
Hey, I want to ask one more thing.
Yeah.
I was talking to somebody, actually, he just brought it up out of the middle of nowhere to me. And this is one of the things that makes me feel really good about what I'm doing. And Dusty, you got way more time in it than I have. And Tommy, you'll be able to do the same thing because of Dusty. But like when you sit back, Dusty, and you think doesn't matter about how many overalls or, attempts at pro cards and things, but what makes me feel best about what I've done is how many people I have I'm not going to say been in touch with, but how many people have prospered at basically any type of fitness endeavor because of me at some point. I'm not saying I'm still coaching them or whatever, but at some point I had a hand in all these different people's success.
Right.
Can you say the same? I know you can say the same thing for yourself, but like I always thought that was the coolest thing, that for what I was doing, I've been able to touch, redirect, guide all these different people. And like I said, once you redirect or guide them, where they take that is on them. But
right.
Just because I've been able to help guide, whatever you want to call it, so many different people and make a living doing what I want to do, that for me is the most fulfilling thing. I don't care how much weight I've ever lifted, how many views of videos got, or how many overalls I've won. That to me, I can take to the grave, and there's not a lot of people that can say that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I mean, Dave Tate actually summed this up the other day really, really well, which is simple. A great successful life moniker is live the way you want to, learn through that living, and then make sure that you pass it on.
That's right.
That's it. And you, I think one thing I like to remind people who are listening is, you might think you follow Tommy and Turner or me or someone and you see all their reach, but don't be confused. There's people watching you, and you're probably actually helping more people than you even realize. I mean, it's very humbling actually when you're just doing your thing. You're just training or whatever. I'm not out there pretending that I'm just out there trying to save the world. I just do what I do. And when someone comes up to you and says, hey man, I got through a really tough time in my life, or I did this, or I did that, and they give you that much credit for it, you're like, whoa, like that is, I mean, it's an awesome thing, particularly, like I said, when it's something along those lines. And the beauty of it is it passes down. You take pieces from what Turner taught you, and you pass them. And, Tommy's doing the same thing. You're touching more people. And that should be, at the end of the day, the goal is, because like you said, you can hang your hat on all that. And my wake up moment for that was waking up from my coma, because I used to always tell people, listen, when I retire, they'll forget my name in a week. It won't matter. And I was okay with that. It wasn't like a bitter thing. It was just me trying to remind people, like, because I felt like people they thought they were special because they had muscle. Oh, I'm so cool. I'm a 300-pound body. I'm like, no one cares. You ain't helping no one. They're not going to give a shit. When you wake up, and I mean, literally, I had thousands of emails and money and all these things, people trying to help, because I mean, I was spending 10 grand a day or whatever it was while I was in there. I think it was 20. Anyways, that was a wake up, like, whoa. And I mentioned it to a guy at one point. I said, I can't believe it. And he said something that just hit me. He goes, oh, dude, we're just paying you back. And that's like, damn. And then you start to realize, because you see other people who are known in the industry, who are famous, or whatever word you want to use.
Yeah.
And that doesn't happen with them, because they didn't pay anyone. They didn't pay anything forward. You know what I mean? And it's not like I said, I want to make it clear, I'm not pretending that was my goal in life when I got into bodybuilding. Just fortunate that that's how it played out, that people benefited. So yeah, that's definitely one of those things that you notice. Like Tommy said, the gratitude. Like, I think that when we chase big things, we lose track of little things that people should pay attention to. Quick story, then I'll let this go. But the other day, clothes were washed, they're on the thing, and I'm like, I'm just gonna put these away real quick. Nikki always does that shit, but I was like, I'll do it real fast. I go in, I'm hanging shit up, and I realized Nikki has 32 pair of jeans. And then I realized I have like 200 t-shirts, and I'm standing in a closet that's as big as a room. And it just hit me, like, I don't even think about that. Like, it's 68 degrees in the house because that's what I choose, and all these things. I literally just had this sudden hit of like, basic fortune that you lose track of when you're chasing big shit.
That's right.
I'm like, I can't remember being hungry if it wasn't a choice. I don't remember being cold unless I was just rushing to heat. And you're like, man, like you need to have those moments. And I find it's a lot easier to have after you've almost died, or, you know, like me recently losing people left and right. You're like, those are the moments that you go, man, as cool as the bodybuilding and the cars and all this bullshit is, the really cool stuff is really basic. And I think that a lot of young guys and girls that are chasing for big things should take a minute and go, it's pretty fucking cool that you get to choose to eat dried chicken to do a bodybuilding show.
Right.
You know, because we talk, I love when people go, I'm suffering. I'm like, it's an interesting word.
Yeah, for sure.
So, but anyways, I could ramble forever. So appreciate you guys having me on. And maybe next time we'll just have a training session that we can share live.
That's what we should do.
That's the
Absolutely.
goal, training and a part 2 in person. So for Dusty Hanshaw, Turner Riddle, I'm Tommy Stiles. This has been For the Love of the Game. Till next time, we are out.
See you guys.
Perfect.